Why is your work important to Hawaii?
Personally, I feel it's a really, really important job that many of the biologists across the Hawaiian Islands are doing. We have such a limited amount of resources here, especially our native ecosystem, our native plants, our native animals. That's all we have left. You know, Hawaii's been known as the endangered capital of the world, which is something that we would like to change, but it's true. We really are the endangered species capital of the world. 90% of our organisms are found only here, nowhere else. If we lose them, they're gone for good. We have no way of bringing them back.
When you work in a place like Hawaii and you're thinking about the challenges of saving native plants and animals, you think, well, what's the major threat to them? Is it development? You know, is it resorts going in or more and more residential areas? No, the main problem that faces Hawaiian plants and animals is non-native plants and animals that have been introduced to the Hawaiian Islands over the last 2 centuries or more and have begun to spread uncontrolled in the forested ecosystems and other ecosystems around us.
Inside these corals, there's a little single-celled limu, a little algae, and it has a symbiotic relationship with the coral. And when the temperatures get 1 or 2 degrees Celsius higher than the ambient summer temperatures, then that zooxanthellae will leave the corals, and the corals turn white. Now the color of the corals, you see these brown and bright greens, these have to do with the zooxanthellae. When the zooxanthellae leave the coral, then the corals turn white. If the temperatures don't return to normal within a few weeks, the corals will die. There have been some major bleaching events throughout the world, and here in Hawaii we had a bleaching event on a small scale in 1996. But we were fortunate enough that we had winds and we also had the temperatures return to normal in time for the corals to recover. But these are happening more and more, these bleaching events, throughout the world.
You know, we have several new possible target species that are emerging. For instance, moi. A lot of people have heard about moi. They're culturing it in offshore cages here. Another species is the amberjack, the kahala. They're starting in Kona. Kona blue is starting to culture those animals as well. So the problem with those 2 animals, though, is that they're top of the food chain carnivores. So they require a fish meal diet. So you have to go out and catch fish from the ocean, grind them up, and then feed them to the moi and the kahala. That's the only way they'll grow. They require a high protein diet. So it's not really sustainable. It actually takes 3 to 5 fish caught out in the ocean to feed 1 fish that we grow on land. Native species like the moi and kahala also have their place. That's sort of a high-end, you know, really good tasting fish you can serve in restaurants. But as far as feeding it to everyone as a sustainable crop, it's probably not, unless we can find a way to replace the fish meal with like a plant, like a soy-based protein or some other protein source, which a lot of effort is being put into that right now to develop feed like that.
You cannot just measure how a plant uptakes water, transpiration, evaporation, and minus rainfall or whatever, and get a water budget. The soil is this huge storage down there that hydrologists study more of, and it has sort of a dynamic interaction and feedback with the trees. If you don't have enough soil moisture, it can affect the life of the tree. You can kill a tree if there's not enough. But vice versa, the trees taken out affects the soil moisture, which affects how much goes into the groundwater, which can affect the stream, which can affect the fish pond. So I think a lot of the research now that I'm getting interested in it's not pure hydrology. It's water in its different forms interacting with plants, with lo'i, with fish ponds, with the whole system, looking at pieces of that.
I guess part of the reason for me also to get into nursing was to help out the Hawaiian people. Because of our health rates of Hawaiians is so poor. We've got diabetes, hypertension. In my own family, there's all of that as well. And I wanted to be able to make an impact on it. So that's part of the reason that drove me into nursing. So if you want to make a difference, that's how you do it. You get involved. And that's what I decided to do. That's why I think almost everybody I come into contact with, the young ones, I encourage them to go into nursing. And if you don't want to go into nursing, that's okay, but where is it that you want to make a difference?
My vision is that, of course, Hawaiians, this is a Hawaiian place, and Hawaiians are natural scientists. There's no reason why this shouldn't be immediately something that we as Hawaiians take over. I mean, it's my intention that we take it all over, you know. Behind me in this building, there are 60 PhD astronomers on that little border. There's only one native Hawaiian in the building, and that's me. And I think that's a terrible waste of potential. Because I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy, but I meet a lot of more smart people than me, you know. I mean, there's tons of you guys out there. So I think that what I would like to do, and the thing I really bring to this whole job, is I'm always looking to increase our involvement here, get more of us here. I would love that in 20 years that we are the majority here, that we're not just, you know, one little guy in a little office.